There is another wonderful story of chivalry from the lovers of God who dwelt in the desert after the advent of Jesus. A saint, Haphanuotus, anyway, we'll call him the saint, prayed to God to show him from which of the saints he was thought to be like. An angel answered that he was like a certain singing man who earned his bread by singing to the village. Astonished by this response, the saint hastened to the village and sought the man. Finding him, the saint questioned him closely. What works of piety and religion he had done, what deeds of faith and charity. But the man said that he was a sinful man of degraded life, previously a robber, and now reduced to singing for his livelihood. The saint persisted and asked if by chance some good was done as a robber. I cannot think of anything good about me, answered the old man, except perhaps the time when the band of robbers captured a virgin consecrated to God, and when the rest of the group were to rape her, I snatched her from them by force and brought her by night to the town and then to her house. Yeah, and another time I found a comely woman wandering in the desert. When I questioned her, she implored me not to question her, saying, I am a most wretched woman and desperate, and if you need a handmaid, take me. But if you wonder, I have a husband who is in prison and tortured for non-payment of taxes. And now they have taken our 3 sons for the same reason. They seek me also, and I have fled them from place to place, worn out with grief and hunger. I have had no food for 3 days. Hearing this, I took pity on her, and taking her to my cave, I fed her, and then gave her the money needed to release her husband and sons. She then returned to the city and paid the money and thus freed them. The saint said, As you may know, I have striven over many years to make my life worthy of God's love. Now God has shown me that you have as much merit before him as I do. And seeking that this is so, brother, that God has such awareness for you, you could devote yourself to him and his love for us all. With this, the man threw away his pipes and followed the saint into the desert. And it is recorded that he dwelt there for 3 years, occupied day and night in prayer and devotion until he died. In recent times, Eric's told another story from a spiritual tradition. A master was approached by the elders of the town to intercede with God for desperately needed rain in the area. But the master said, I cannot do so because I know of God's compassion. Go instead to a certain prostitute of the town and pray to her and ask her to pray to God for rain. So the elders in wonderment went to the woman, because the master had said to do so, and pleaded with her to pray for rain. She did so, and there was plentiful rain. Afterwards she went to the master, and bowing down to him, asked in bewilderment how he could have directed the elders to her to pray. Why me, O master? Because of one act that you did without thought of self in your youth, that of saving a calf from death. So touched was she by this demonstration of God's love and compassion that she changed her life completely, devoting herself to the service of the Master. It is recorded that soldiers sought Hassan of Basra, and he fled to the cell of Habib. The soldiers came and asked Habib, "Have you seen Hassan anywhere?" Habib said, "Yes." "Where is he?" "In my cell." They went into the cell and found no one there. Thinking Habib was making fun of them, they abused him and called him a liar. He swore that he had spoken the truth, and they returned 3 times to the cell, but the cell remained empty. They then departed, and Hassan immediately emerged and said to Habib, "I know it was owing to your benedictions that God did not allow me to be found by those men. But why did you tell them I was here?" Habib replied, "O Master, it was not on account of my benedictions that they failed to see you, but through the blessing of my speaking the truth. Had I told a lie, we both would have been shamed." Is that all?
That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Lovers of truth do not reject those who come to their door, and do not pursue those who do not come, nor do they try to dominate the ones who enter their gatherings.
Right.
A certain seeker of God said to his wife that he wanted to have a feast and invite the head of the seekers of God of the area. "Are you worthy to invite the chivalrous to your table?" she asked. "Certainly," he said. "If you would do it," she advised, "slaughter sheep and cattle and donkeys and distribute them to the neighbours from the door of your guest's house to your own door." "Sheep and cattle, I understand," he said, "but what is this about donkeys?" "You are inviting a man of honour to your house," she said. "The least one can expect is that there be some good in it for the dogs of the neighbourhood." And in the annals of the desert fathers, they tell of a certain brother who brought a bunch of grapes to the saint. But he, for love's sake, thought of one even more feeble than himself. The sick man gave thanks to God, but then thought of his neighbour, and that neighbour thought of another. And so that same bunch of grapes was carried around the cells, scattered around the desert, and no one knowing who had sent it first until it was brought back to the first giver. And the saint gave praise to God for the abstinence and loving kindness of the brethren. J. Barber.
J.